Good evening. All right. So, what I need to do is get these leaderboards working. So the thing that I don't have set up for the stats is I need the usernames for the users, and I also need the loading screen for stats as well. And then I need to just finish the system is what it looks like. So let's boot this thing up. So what we got right now is we can log in. I'm hitting test, right? Yeah. So, let's see. So if we go to the stats, we need a loading screen there. And I think I'll also need a tool for updating the season. Okay, so the question is, how are we going to get user data? Because the information for usernames is not stored in the database along with the leaderboard stats or history. I need to have some sort of user data cache where I have the information, and I need good account information that I can fetch. So I need to make a user service, and I need to cache information for current users or something. So I need to make a new service, so let's just go do that. New service. All right. So the last service that we made was the QoS, I believe. So, okay, we got ID 16 for application service. I believe that might actually be it. All right, yeah, that's it. Okay, so let's make a user service. So let's see what we got in the platform objects. We've got user accounts and user account mappings. Basically what I need for a user account is a full user account. Alright, so that's going to be, we'll throw the account here, which is going to be this user account, and then we're also going to have account mappings. Which will be an array of different mappings. Okay, so what we're going to have here for users is so we want like a list of user IDs that we want to fetch. That's a string array, and then we want full user accounts. Let's be platform full user accounts. This is the wrong file. Okay, so I'll have to make that. Duplicate service site 17. We're in service 18 now, huh? No auth level on fetch users in users. Well, let's allow an anonymous call. You have to know the user IDs to actually request this, so. And you can't request it by any ID other than the account ID, which is a UUID, so good luck guessing those. So you can't like grab somebody's Twitch account and be like, hey, does this guy exist in this database? Like, no, you're not going to know that. No way to do that. Hello, Jivik. Good evening, sir. We've got our leaderboards in order. I just need to create a kind of like a user account caching and information service, because stats are not in the same database as the user accounts, and we have their account ID, but we want to know like, this user ambient energy and stuff like that. So I need to do that. I need to actually go make all this stuff. And hopefully I'll be done with the leaderboards. Well, I need to be done with them this week, and we're actually real close. We have an account. Yeah, but that's like the web account. We want users. Let's go ahead and copy the QoS server because that is pretty much empty. Let's make our user service implementation. Take off the calls that we don't need. Just built a standalone dedicated server for the first time. What kind of dedicated server? Is that the a game server, or is that your... This is services.users. Or is it kind of like a back-end server? Oh, your actual dedicated server. Yeah, as soon as you start setting those things up, you very quickly realize that you need to have things set up the Unreal way if you want them to work properly. Like if you don't have your life cycle set up properly with, you know, like, okay, well, here's the client, here's the server, here's the other client, and where all the replication goes and everything else. And you don't have your stuff properly set up with like game modes and the rest, and your actors aren't set up properly for spawning, good luck. That's kind of what I ran into, is we were making a single player game, and I had been doing things very, very wrong. So when I started doing the dedicated server stuff, very quickly ran into, uh-oh, I screwed up everything. So what you need to do now is you need to go set up that server on Linux, because Unreal servers run much, much better on Linux. So go get that working. And you can also host your server for a fraction of the cost. Yeah, the issue we were having mainly with the single player game is just making enough content for a story driven game. It can be very difficult to get all that in order. Alright, so let's set up our users. Wasn't anything fancy, just so you can verse your friends. Yeah, it makes sense. Well, good job. Setting all that stuff up is not the easiest thing on the planet. Requires reading a lot of manuals and setting things up properly. I know some of the next things is like keeping a server up and running for quite a while without, having somebody run over and kick it every hour is kind of the next step of getting stuff in order. So I know we had a bunch of game guys like Amazon, and they're used to making single player games, but then they're making like an online multiplayer game, and real quick, that one bug that happens once every hour now happens every second. It happens every hour. Okay, so basically what we want here is we want a cache of users. So should I make a concurrent hash map here? Yeah, I think so. Okay, so we have our count cache, and we're gonna have to have a time that we keep these things around. All right, so I want to keep these things around for 500 seconds, I believe. How about 300 seconds? That's 5 minutes. Sucks that it takes so long. I was thinking about making a batch file to automate it. Oh yeah, the very first thing I do when setting up a project, set up that Jenkins server, get all your auto builds going. You will just do it. Just set up an automated system. I've got it. I've got a box over in the corner with that stuff running, and it's so nice to just be like, oh well, I need the latest version of the game to test. And you're like, oh yeah, well it got built automatically an hour ago. It's like, oh, that's handy. Yeah, the Unreal command line stuff isn't exactly well documented though. So if you wanted a little bit of help on how to set that up, um, I've got this create standalone server bet, I believe is what I got. And basically it's just this that run uat.bat, build cook run, and that's your command line, and it'll package everything up for you and make your buildable thing. So if you want to copy that, I can throw it there somewhere for you. But just like platform is just, like Win64, Win32, and then develop shipping test. Pretty much, you're probably needing the shipping version of it. But that's it. That'll do it. It'll put it in the output directory for you, so you can go snag that from there, and you got your server running. So if you want to copy that, just let me know, and I'll upload it somewhere you can grab it. Okay, so we have our account cache. What we're going to need to do is actually, set this up here. Okay, so that'll shut that guy down. Alright, so we'll need this drop elder caches. So let's see. Still in the early days using UE4 mannequin. Very good. Alright, so we need to iterate over this thing. And this is not I could probably write a better cache for this. I just don't think I really needed to. Like I could probably have a hash map and just like remove stuff from it and have kind of like some reader writer locks and some other crap like that, but I think I'll just set it up this way. It should be good enough. So I'll call this to get a list of user accounts. Call this to get a specific user account. So how exactly do we want to do this? I guess we want to do like some check lock check crap with fetching information. Alright, so I guess we should have a load lock here, because we only want one of these things loading at a time. Okay, so we didn't find the accounts. So we synchronize on the load lock. We do it again. And this is just the check lock check pattern for all this stuff. So for multi-threading stuff, you can see if the answer is available, then lock, see if the answer is available again, and then fetch the answer. And what that does, it allows a whole bunch of threads to, like if all of them come in at the first time, none of the answers are available, one of them will get through the load lock, check that there's nothing there, load it, return, then all the rest of them wake up on this load lock, check the answers there so they can just immediately fetch it, and all the subsequent things don't have to lock anything because they just have the answer ready to go. Okay, so right here we actually need to load stuff from the database. So we need to fetch the database. Okay, so it's this game database wrapper. Okay, so what we need is this is going to be the user account and the user account mapping. I guess we need a statement here. Alright. Why is this all pissed off? So that should fetch all of our accounts. And we can use the same statement for the user mappings because they have the same column names. So that's nice. Okay, so 2 database calls on that stuff. We'll get everything going on. So what we have to do next is munge them all together. So we have our account rows, we have our account. So we'll go through and get those. Push that in there. So what we're going to need to do here is get this guy. Alright, so once we've got all of this done, we need to go through every cached user account here. and we need to add it to our account cache. Okay, so that should get all of our user accounts properly. Okay, so that should get our user count there. Alright, we need some limits, so alright, so if our request user IDs is equal to null, that's bad. If request.userIDs.size is greater than max, see how many characters that this has. 36. Alright, so we'll do sanitation for basic accounts that we don't like, and then we're going to pass in get user accounts with our request.user accounts. And it's going to give us back an array list of cache user accounts. It's not really a warning. Okay, so basically we want to make a response object. Alright, well I think that's all written now, so we have our user service. And we have our registry, and we have our get user account stuff going on as well. We're not going to use memcache, this thing will time out. It's looking pretty good. Alright, well I'll be right back. Alright, so we've got our user cache. So what is the information that we're actually going to need here? So we could have a user cache on the client side, or we could do it on the server side for all these results. Well, the absolute easiest thing is just to have all the information served nicely in the return responses. So it's basically for the stats service. We've got these user interval stats, and then we'd also have like the account information to go along with it. So we'd have something like, not user interval stats here, but the we'd have the user service, which would have these platform full user accounts. So you've got all the stats, and then you've got all the users. Let me just take a look at what calls I'm actually using. So on the platform manager, we're calling stat leaderboards, stat history, intervals, and stats. Alright, so fetch stats. We'll get the users. Complete stats probably has got the same thing. But we're not really using it, so let's not go screw with it too much. Reporting is fine. Fetch results. No, it's going to be fetch stat. Get stat leaderboard. Where the hell are you? Get interval stat leaderboard. Okay, so we'll grab these full user accounts, shove them in here. So that should be getting closer. Alright, well, let's see what we got going on here. So we need the stat thing. Stat service implementation. Let's go from the top. So I need to do users for fetch stats. Alright, so Get user cache. All right, let's also have a nice, simple, full user account. So we'll just have a nice convenience function that, you know, does the things.